What's up, everybody? Unrest it with the questions you requested. This is JFAQ, Japan's frequently asked questions, and today we're going to go over a little bit of a subject that always kind of bothers me and something I always like to clear the hype on, or kind of the weirdness or the sensationalism. That's, I think, the word that is the key word here today: sensationalism. A lot of newspapers, news groups, and news organizations around the world love to sensationalize Japan. They love to look at it as a form of entertainment rather than a culture. And that is something that always really kind of upsets me, especially being a person who actually lives here and watches how awesome this country is, sees how nice the people are in this country, and how respectful they are of other countries. It really kind of pisses me off when other news organizations from foreign countries try to issue propaganda that sensationalizes Japan, and also because the Japanese people in general don't tend to attack back because they don't have that kind of malice, they don't kind of have that kind of mean spirit to make up crazy weird stuff about other countries. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's been a few sensationalized things here and there scattered throughout, like rare news organizations and magazines within Japan, but for the most part I'm saying major distributed newspapers in Japan don't do the kind of stuff like, say, The Guardian from the UK does, which is a well-known newspaper that printed some articles like, oh, I don't know, eyeball licking is a wild craze sweeping Japan. I think one of the things that you need to realize when you hear articles like this is that oftentimes if it sounds very weird, if it sounds very strange, it is almost 100% of the time an extremely microscopic niche culture, okay? And if they are very vague with how much of a percentage of the population is doing this, or they don't really name a certain group or an age or a distribution of the type of people or demographic, it's because it's a super niche group and they just don't want to issue that statement. They don't want to come clean and really be more clear with how completely rare and odd this is even within the own country, and how it's not really a popular sensation sweeping the country. I think what I'd like to do now is just give you a few examples from my own country, how you could make it look really crazy and strange if you were to just sensationalize some very strange stuff about my own country that would look very odd to others before they would visit, or if no one had ever visited my country. For example, vending machines. There's a top 25 list about Japan, which a lot of people yelled at me about because they said everything from panty vending machines exist in Japan and egg vending machines. Let me just be very clear with this. There are rice vending machines and there are egg vending machines, and they exist in a very niche area of food sales. And to this day, I have never seen a panty vending machine, possibly somewhere maybe like a porno store or some kind of like soap land, there might be panty vending machines. But if you go to America, you can walk into some men's bathrooms and find condom vending machines, which, I mean, it's the equivalent to the way some of these machines look. They don't actually look like vending machines with like things lined up in clear plastic of different cans and different colors, like a normal vending machine. Don't get me wrong, there's tons of those kind of vending machines in Japan, drink dispensing vending machines. For every 13 vending machines, I'm sorry, for every 13 people in Japan, there's one vending machine that dispenses drinks. So that is a ton of vending machines when you have a population of 127 million. But these very rare certain types of specific types are only in specific types of areas. Like I'm sure Akihabara or Denden Town have their own very specific type of vending machines. And I guess if you wanted to, you could get into gacha capsule machines and say up all the kinds of weird stuff they sell too, and really make Japan look like a fantastical country. But if you were to say things like, well, America has condom vending machines, and in the women's bathrooms they have tampons, and sometimes they even have their own prophylactic machines. You could say that America is full of prophylactic vending machines. And doesn't that sound crazy? Machines that dispense condoms. Oh my God, that's so weird. They're all over. Every street corner you turn, there's just fucking condoms everywhere for you to get out of vending machines. Okay? And that's the way that they're trying to issue this. It's not true. Okay? I mean, like, even every men's bathroom you walk into rarely has a condom vending machine. They do exist. It's usually like nightclubs, bars. Same thing with tampon vending machines. Not every women's bathroom has that, but they do exist. Another one was bagel head injections. It's been a while since this one's been out, but I believe, if I'm correct, this was once again The Guardian, the UK's Guardian newspaper, that said the new craze sweeping Japan's style is the bagel silicone injection, where they inject silicone into your forehead and make like a bagel shape. Well, in America, we have butt injections, okay? And some other countries have this too, where they inject, I don't know if it's silicone, I don't know what it is, I don't know anything about how to get a butt injection, I'm not interested. But we have those. So imagine if I said, the new craze sweeping America is butt injections. Everyone wants a bigger butt in America, so they're getting butt injections. And that's the equivalent to what they're doing here, because let me tell you, I've never met a single person who even knows what bagel head injections are in Japan. And I'm talking Japanese people, not gaijin. I've never met a single one that's like, oh yeah, bagel head, yeah, like at least 4 of my friends have that. Again, a super small niche body mod community does that, and even now it's not done anymore. It was like a one time, like this guy invented it. It was kind of like a performance art thing, and that was it. Moving on to their eye licking. For a while, it was posted, I think, and this was back in 2011, that eye licking was the new sexual craze in Japan. Like literally, you lick somebody's eyeball in the middle of sex. Which, doesn't that sound crazy? That's because it is. Nobody does that. That's the equivalent to being like something like a fetish. Like a super rare fetish. For example, let's go back to America. There's a really weird fetish. It's called pony play. It's where people dress up as horses with bridles and saddles and bits and all. And they pretend to be horses, and they have like a woman ride them around. And, you know, I've never partaken in this fetish, but from documentaries I have seen, it does exist. I have nothing against anybody's fetish. They're more than welcome to, as long as it's not hurting anybody or taking away anybody's rights, go for it. I'm not dogging on this fetish, but it's a bit of a strange one. I think we can both agree on that, can we not? I think even pony play people can agree they're a little bit out there. Well, same thing with eye licking. Not everybody does this. I'm sure somewhere in Japan there is a super small, microscopic niche community that does this. But this is not an everyday thing. This is not a wave sweeping the nation, as it's supposedly sensationalized within the UK Guardian. It's not something everybody's doing. It never was. If you asked the average Japanese person on the street about this, they would look at you like you had 3 heads. They would look at you like you were mentally unstable. They wouldn't know what you were talking about, because it's just not common. It's just unheard of. Then let's get into the things that really piss me off the most, and that is sensationalized products or joke products, or products that were inventions that were meant to just be a joke, or inventions that were just kind of goofy or crazy, and somehow someone found it on some rare Amazon site or some kind of wacky magazine full of crazy creations and decided everybody in Japan uses this. For example, there's one that was the chin rest for when you're on the subway. So you can take this sort of like giant stick that has a hook like this, and you can hang your chin in it and take a nap while standing up on the subway. Nobody in Japan uses that. You can look at top 25 lists that I have video, and they talk about how everyone in Japan uses these on the subway. Isn't that cool, crazy? Or things like the baby mop. You attach this piece of clothing to your baby, a onesie that has the little mop type threads coming off the bottom, and you let your baby crawl across the floor, and he'll end up mopping the floor for you as he crawls. Again, it's a joke invention. It's the equivalent to, I remember when my mom turned like 50 or something, someone brought this goofy cane to her party. It was a joke cane, and it was like made of plastic, and it had horns and symbols on it, like for you're walking too slow, or that you have to honk because you're coming through because you're so old. It said "over the hill" on it, and it had like flashing lights so that you could walk with this cane and make sure people knew you were coming because you were a very old person. That's taking that cane, finding it in a joke store like Spencer's or something like that, and saying, everybody in America uses these canes to walk around. Isn't that crazy? America's a crazy place. That's what that's the equivalent to. Finding a weird, sensationalized joke object. For example, another one I remember was this guard around the person's face that it looked like a giant flower, pretty much like your head's the center and like there's a petal of flowers around your face, so that when you eat ramen and the splash from the noodles hitting the water, it doesn't get on your clothes. No one's ever used one of those in Japan. I've never seen a single person use one of those. If they did, or show up to a restaurant and try to use those, everyone would look like they would look at them like they were a crazy idiot. They would just be like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell is that thing you're wearing? No one's ever seen this in Japan. Sensationalism. Don't buy it. That's my big message, okay? Look at Japan, as a culture and not a form of entertainment. And if at any time, honestly, for the most part, you guys, my viewers, I find to be very intelligent, and I find you guys who have actually, especially the ones who have actually stepped foot in Japan, I notice oftentimes the ones who haven't, who are, I don't want to dog my favorite anime otaku people, but there's some I know who have channels who just want to believe everything they hear about Japan and try to argue with me back, although they've never actually been to the country. And at that point, you've got to ask, who are you going to believe, the guy who's an anime otaku or the guy who's actually lived here almost 10 years? It's up to you. But if you yourself see some of these sensationalized things, these weird things, don't be afraid to ask us. I had a viewer just the other day tell me about a friend who told him that there was a racist group within Japan that took a gaijin out to the woods and burned them alive. No such thing. Never heard of anything like that. I don't think you could find a single event ever in the newspaper in Japan, outside of Japan, anywhere in the world that reports such an incident actually happening. Completely fabricated, completely made up. So don't even believe everything your friends tell you too. Maybe they've heard a story from a friend of a friend about Japan. If it sounds weird, ask somebody who actually lives there. Ask a Japanese person. We'll let you know if it's actually true or not. Anyway, I'm unrested with the questions you requested. This is JFAQ, Japan's frequently asked questions. Have a good one.